Hello and welcome to this new version of Yak. That's version 0.10.1, and it's not a spectacular one. Actually, it's a very small patch volume-wise, like 30 or 40 megabytes, and that's because there is no new content here. I did not repackage the content, so it's exactly the same as in the previous version. But there is still a lot going on behind the scenes, a good amount of code rewriting, and it brings 3 new important features, 3 smaller comfort ones, and as always a good amount of bug fixes. So first there is some major character sheet code rewriting, and it brings 2 new things. First, the graphical properties are now completely synchronized, so everybody will see the same thing. When I talk about graphical properties, I'm talking about those flying fields here. The background pictures, though, are not synchronized, are still not synchronized, and that's a choice. That's because I believe some privacy might be needed in those tabs. For example, if you're a player, you might not want the other players to see the picture of your invisible companion, or if you're a dungeon master, you might not want your players to see the notes that you have on your campaign story, and so on. So only the graphical fields here, their layout and configuration will be synchronized. Next, all those graphical properties are now fully exposed to Lua, so we can now move them, show them, hide them, configure them, and so on from the Lua code. So this means basically that anything that you can do with your mouse and keyboard on this UI can be done in Lua. So as you guess, this really brings the character sheet automation to a new level of possibilities. The next big new feature is a very powerful one. In the previous version, it was possible to enable a line as a global modifier. Sorry. This meant that the dice formulas of this line would be added to every other line. So this version brings a powerful new refinement to that mechanism. It's now possible to choose the lines that will be affected by this modifier. It works with this new field here that contains a filter for the IDs of other lines. This means that only the lines whose ID contains this filter will be affected by this modifier. For example, here we've got a strength modifier, and it's got a target ID filter that goes by the letter B, and this means that only the ID that contains a B will be affected by this modifier. So here the strength modifier will only affect the strength and sword, and the dex modifier with its A as a target ID will only affect the sword. So let me show you this by an example. If we try to roll an intelligence test, you can see that we've got our bare d20 because there is no modifier affecting this line. If we try a strength test, then we will get the +2 modifier from the strength modifier. And if we try to roll an attack with the sword, then we will get both A and B modifier, so the dexterity modifier on the hit roll and the strength modifier on the damage roll here as expected. So of course this and much more can be done in Lua, but as you can see, this allows us to add some pretty nice automation to our character sheet, like ability bonuses or magical objects or spells, without having to write a single line of Lua code. So pretty powerful stuff here. Okay, next is a comfort thing, but nonetheless an interesting one. We can now completely customize the font size of both instances of the journal. So for the main journal here, it's done here. So I'm going to put a 6 to decrease the size of the font. And for the desk journal here, it's done here. So I'm going to put a 20 to get a larger font. And you can see that now, if I roll a new dice, I get a small font here and a large one here. So it can be useful. I'm going to come back to the default value by clicking those buttons here. There we go. Alright, next is also a comfort thing. When you're a dungeon master and you want to surprise your player by making a pawn visible or invisible, in the previous version you had to select the pawn and then bring the UI up and then go to the the pawn panel and click this checkbox here. Okay, now this can all be done by simply pressing a new shortcut, which is the L key. Okay, so this shortcut has exactly actually the same effect as clicking the checkbox, as you can see here. Okay, so that's very practical and comfortable for the Dungeon Master, I guess. Of course, I forgot to say, of course, this new key is documented on the virtual keyboard, so you can have access to its shortcut here, and you can click on it to get all the info that you might need. The last thing is that you can bypass the animation. You have a new option to bypass the animation of all the UI. So by default, as you know, the UI in YAG is smoothly animated. You can see that the desk goes up and down very smoothly. Same for the trays. If I request a tray, you know that it comes up and go down very easy, very smoothly, and same for the main UI here. So you've got an option now to bypass those animations and make everything pretty much instant. Okay, so that can be a bit faster and a bit more nervous to navigate through the trays. Okay, so this has been requested by users. So if you belong to the category of person that prefer a fast UI over a smoothly animated one, there you go. You have your option that you can activate here. Okay, I think we have reached the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next. Bye!